Hi, this is Neil Walters with neilsvideos.com, and I'm going to entitle this video, Don't Compete on Hydrocodone. Okay, so I think some of you have been watching my channel. You know I had a hip replacement Tuesday a week ago. This week on Tuesday we had the competition start and then failed because of issues, and then they restarted it on Wednesday. So this is the town that I ended up creating. And let's look at my current statistics over here. We're making Cabernet wine, and I'm getting 71 per hour, which I think that's a pretty good rate. But the problem is I wasn't getting that rate all the time. So right now, ugh, I don't know why we seem to have to click this twice right now to get the accurate. So there I'm at place number 1580, which is horrible for me, I think. And I did start again on Tuesday and started again on Wednesday. But I have been taking one hydrocodone at night, and boy, that thing makes me tired. As of last night, I'm going to be off the stuff. I mean, the pain is so mild. I just thought it would help me sleep at night, but it made me so drowsy, I think, during the last few days that I take naps and then trying to watch a movie or something, I can't hardly stay awake. So I had the same problem Wednesday night with my town. I just couldn't drag myself to stay up another hour or two and actively focus on improving it. So some of my improving actually happened Thursday morning, and by then it was just too late. So my town here is, let's say, what's the term? Inspired by Dubstep Rod's non-NFT town. I basically kind of looked at what he did, and then I kind of did my own thing, but loosely you can see things are kind of in the same place. So here are the things that I found and the troubles that I had. In general, I've had problems with when you have all these mines over here that they all go to race for the same lumber, right? So when a lumber becomes available, like right now, see those little, we have 5 guys just all left and they're all rushing over here. And there may just be, no, there's 20 lumbers, so I guess we're okay. I don't know what they were rushing for. It might have been a water drum. So anyway, but especially with lumber, but now I have 20 lumber, so I'm okay. But this was, it's a very wood and lumber intensive build at first. So when you're still building your buildings, you have not enough lumber. And then now it seems like I have plenty. So I guess that's why my rate is high right now, reasonably high. So anyway, but based on that, I decided it was good to have one of my wood sheds kind of in the middle. And originally I had one over here as well. So I had one on each side. And I tried to spread my sawmills, lumber mills equally across as well, so that when it made a lumber, like this guy could get it from this side, these guys could get it from the middle, and then these guys over here could get it from the left. And I think that was probably a pretty good theory, but the only problem with that, it cost me having spots of 3 lumber yards being taken. So that's one thing. Here I have my 2 sand mines. At one point, I actually built the forklift over here, but then I decided I'd rather have a lumber mill there. And actually, that lumber mill's turned off right now. I think I was making too much lumber at one point. But I was finding that actually the worker house is fine, fast enough to handle 2 sand mines that you don't even need a forklift there. One other thing I could have maybe improved is have 2 more sand mines or 2 more mines on this side of the town. Since the whole side is a mountain, I could get rid of my express truck somewhere else, and I could get rid of that. I could put 2 more mines there, but then I'd have to get into squeezing in maybe another winery and more stuff. And so if I did all that, maybe I could have got up to um, it's maybe 80 or 80, 75 or 80. But at that point, my score was so low in the ranks that I figured it's not worth the trouble at that point to try to come back up. So lately, that's kind of been my pattern. I started on Wednesday really, really good. Like I was up to 259 rank in the first few hours. I guess it's because of my rush. And you'll see that in a minute. I'll show you some slides of that. But then all of a sudden, I just drift down, down, down. So I know where like the weak spot of my game is. It's usually the evening of the first day, and that's where I have trouble keeping up with everybody else. They start surpassing me at that point. I did have these power plants here to give power to the mines. Got my good old oak wood storage here to hold oak for the oak barrels, and right now it's empty. There were times I saw it had like 30, 40, 50 in there, but I think right now it's just barely making enough oak to stay even. So I may not even need that at this point. I ended up having a tall storage here and a tall storage, a warehouse here, I mean, not storage, on each side. You can see what's in those. And I was debating about putting a store, there's a storage in the middle as well. So he's got mostly energy for some reason. I ended up putting my wood shed here. So this is a large wood shed that holds 60. And again, I wanted it kind of to be in the middle because basically I put all my trees on the outside row and then just a few of them on the inner rows here. So I wanted them to all be kind of equidistant, getting to here as fast as they could. But then I also wanted it to be somewhat close to the lumber mills. So I think that was a good location for that. You can see all my, sorry, I don't have the counts all done, but you see how many lumbers I have, logger houses, how many farm tractors I have. I have 6 water facilities here, and then I have one kind of down by himself down here getting water from that water tank, and then there's 2 right here. And that was the same idea, that I wanted these guys to get their water from the right side and not have to go over here to the left side when they needed water drums. Because otherwise you find out the guys in the middle or the guys on one end or the other might not be ever getting the supplies they need. So you really have to keep an eye on that. What else is interesting here? Ended up with 3 glass factories. And originally I had the first one right here. And then I decided that's why I needed a lumber yard. So I had to rebuild it down here. They're both staying, or all 3 of them are staying pretty busy right now. So if we look at my wine bottles. Oh, no, I told you wrong. Gosh. See, I'm so sorry. I wasn't making 71 Cabernets. I'm only making 37 Cabernets. I'm making 71 wine bottles. So yeah, I'm overbuilding wine bottles and underbuilding wine. And I think the reason this is what I cannot figure this out actually. So here you can see I have a ground silo here and it's got 0 grapes in it right now. So ideally I'd like to have 5, 10, 20, 30 grapes in there, but the grapes are going out just basically as fast as they're going in. So the only way I know to get the grapes faster or get more grapes is to build more grape crops or have more farm tractors, right? Because they're doing all the work. See, by the time those grapes go in there, yep, so there's 1, and then he's out of there like usually the next few seconds. There's 2, now we're back to 1, and so on. So you can see every one of these wineries is probably waiting on grapes. That one needs 3, that one needs 1, that one needs 1, and so on. So at this point, I mean, I could still do a little tuning. Look at there, look at my woodshed is 0. So that kind of implies I still don't have enough wood, but yet my lumber is 20. So we could try turning off a lumber yard for a while. Like I said, it's too late to tune now. But if I was more awake on earlier in the week, like Wednesday or Thursday, these are some things I could have done. But sometimes it takes an hour or 2 for the game to settle in after you've made all your changes. And I just wasn't willing to stay up all night to get it going. And then the next day I had work to do and stuff. So that's just the kind of player I am. I guess I'm not dedicated enough to winning, basically. Okay, let's look at the slideshow of just a few slides that I took of screenshot images every few hours into the game. So this was my Wednesday, how I got started. I did have the 2 NFTs for the big sheep, and I added my 3 NFT cows, so that way I didn't have to pay anything for those. Got those guys creating. When I had a little bit of cash, I went ahead and added a couple more sheep pens, and then instead of doing the full rush on what I described in my last few videos of doing baguettes, I just did butter this time. So I did 2 bakeries of butter, just to have that little extra cash to get my first million. Well, the wineries weren't quite $1 million. They're with the ornaments and things I have. I think there was $770,000 for a winery. So I raised the money for the first winery basically by selling the wool and then the butter from the bakery. So I could have gone on for baguettes, but I was just debating whether it was worth the extra trouble because to do baguettes, then you have to do dough and then wheat, and then it just makes it a little harder, and then you need twice as much butter to make each baguette. So basically I see I have my windmills kind of scattered here, try to get them at least 3 apart from everything else and not anywhere in the first 5 squares of the mountainside. Planted a few trees. You do have to have salt down here to be able to build the salt for the butter. And then there's my Zone 3 NFT to provide saltiness to those. This is the ground silo here, so the salt could basically be stored in there. This is a milk silo. So that was my ultimate start. And here's just a little further along. I must have been running out of wood, so I planted a bunch more trees over here. So the trees get full water at 5 when they're on the riverside, and then this water tower here provides an more extra water. So basically all these get enough water here now as well. Same thing with this water tower. This water tower is helping these salts and the sugar that I added down here. You have to have sugar for the butter as well. Also for the sugar, usually I put my Christmas sugar stand by one of my windmills, and that must be coming next. I guess I did all 3 bakeries at one point to try to make all butter as fast as I could. The slide seems to be totally out of place. Sorry about that. Oh, I know what this could have been. Sorry, this is our 2 days. Remember we had our restart, right? So the first day was the 13th. That was on the 13th. That was my Tuesday town. Then we had to cancel that, start all over on Wednesday. So this is now my Wednesday town. So you can see I've made a few little differences on where I put my sheep pens and my cows here. And you see I'm getting my power plants in my industrial district all set up here. So basically I paved the roads. Let's back up 1. I usually do a screenshot when I just have 1 road done. 1 second. Anyway, so this is getting it set up, building my first power plant. Sometimes I do that before the refinery, so that way I get more energy stored in the warehouse. And here's my Christmas stand, providing 2 out of 3 sugars for that. And then I added the other sugar here, got rid of the wheat, and you'll see I'll have to add the salt still. This time I put the 2 extra sheep pen over here. 3 milk cows. I did sell some milk, and then eventually the milk starts going into the butter production. This was a water storage NFT that I won in one of the contests. I just thought I'd try it for a while and see how that worked there. You need that for the mines. You have water drums for the mines. I got my sand mine going over here because I just wanted to get a few of those stored up. There's my salt. Now I put my ground storage all the way to the border for some reason. A couple more windmills over here. Now the industrial complex is completed. Sometimes I like to show how much gas I have left. So right here, I still had 7. No, this is when I started producing. I had 7 gas at least left when I started creating new gas at that point. Now what we got going on? Sometimes still, this guy wasn't providing enough saltiness for all my salt fields, so I can double that. I could have maybe placed it a little fancier to get it, like surround them around the zone. But anyway, I could just double the guy's power by putting all 4 of these NFT zones down. So that's what I do at the beginning of the game while I'm making salt for my butter. And after that, I remove all these salt and these maize zones, which are NFTs. I'm starting grapes now. Okay, so already I've got 2 wineries going. And here was my first glass factory. And so I'm actually starting to produce wine. And I don't show it here, but at this point of the game, I had like, I usually had 20, 30, no, I mean, I think this was pretty much full of grapes. And then when I quit making butter and I moved this silo storage over here, I mean, I saw times where it had 40, 50 grapes in it. So at first I thought, oh, the grapes are going to be easy. But as I showed you today, I have like 0 grapes in there because they're going out as fast as they're coming in. Another little sheep pen in that corner. Starting to do my oak early because you're going to need oak basically to build your oak barrels, which are needed for the wine. And then every time you build a water facility, you need, I think, 1 oak barrel. So those are getting piled up in the oak shed here. Got to have a little worker house to carry the energy from the Tesla coil, which currently is down here. Sometimes at the beginning, I have the Tesla coil up here by the lumber mills, and then later when I got the power plants working, I move it down here, let it power the sand mill at first. And what am I trying to show here? See, I'm making like 30 butters an hour, so that's 200 to 1,000 an hour or more from the butter. And I was getting my wine bottles built pretty good at that stage of the game as well. And this is my rank on Wednesday at 2:53 p.m. So, as they say, how the mighty have fallen. I fell from 538 down to like the 15 or 1600s. I was even up then for a while at 274. Now I apparently had a wood shortage, because you could see I built all these little lumberjacks, right? And of course, eventually you want loggers, but you don't have enough wood to build the loggers, right? So you have to build lumberjacks at first. And so I built just as many as I could to solve the lumber problem. That was the problem I was having at that moment in the game. And now you can see here I got 4 wineries. The 5th one's coming. I have my 3 glass factories going, and then of course you have enough. I think I have 2 of these guys, maybe 1, maybe 2, making the barrels. And of course you have to have iron coming out of iron ore plus the oak to make the barrels. And now I've got my first power plant over here. He's going to power these 2 sand mines, and then my first mine over here on this wall was right across the street from the power plant. And so I have 3 water facilities there, 1 here, 1 here. And I did rearrange them, as you saw in my final game a little later. At this point, what time are we now? We're on Wednesday at 7:55 p.m. So now I'm dropping down to 8:27, and I'm getting very sleepy. And here I'm making 41 wine bottles, but only like less than 20 Cabernets. Okay, so that's where I was at that point. But I was getting 246 grapes per hour. That's what I should go see, like what my grapes per hour are now. Let's do that in just a minute. And then that's when I really got horrible. I dropped from 600s down, 700s down to 1320, and I never recovered from that, basically. So this shows what your dedication has to be on the first day of the game, basically, given the current competition. So this was on the 15th, which I think was Wednesday at 8 p.m. I think I actually took off for dinner or something, kind of forgot about the game for an hour or two. Maybe I was just forgetful. Okay, so now you can see here I've got, this is pretty much almost like the way this is, let's say that probably when I went to bed the first night. Usually I put a note up here. Hang on a second. When I go to bed, I usually put bedtime on there, but I did not do that this time. So this is 11:08. I'm thinking that's PM, but usually it says, I thought 23 if it was PM. So here we have, I think I only did 8 wineries. This pretty much matches what I was showing you a while ago in the actual video. I'm sure there are some minor changes. I now have 3 more power plants built here to provide all the energy I think needed passively to the mines. Got a lot of the tractors done. Got a lot of the loggers done, pretty much. And this says 12:55. I know I didn't stay up. Oh, this is the beginning again. So that was right after noon when we started. Okay, so that's the beginning of my game. I was going to show you some stats, but the screen wasn't full screen, and I hit F5 to refresh, and unfortunately that clears the stats. So let it run 10 minutes or so. So yeah, I'm 1583 rank right now, which I know is horrible. Seemed like I showed you this a while ago. I had 0 wood. So see, this is how much the wood can change. I don't think I really had a wood shortage. I think it's just the timing of when you have 40, 50 grapes out here, and then they all ripen the same time and then get harvested. and they all need wood again, and then your wood just drains down really low. But that indeed was the hardest part for me. I guess I'm not a good balancer, balancing to have the right number of wood versus grapes, and then have the right number of loggers versus tractors. Apparently, that's the worst part of my game. Oh, but remember, I did stop one of my lumber yards a while ago, so that could have made the wood come up. See, it's everything affects everything, right? So here, this had 20 lumber, now only has 14. As long as that stays, I'd say 10 or higher most of the time, that means I think I have enough lumber for all my mines over here. Let's check this one right here. He's got 17 lumber. So yeah, perhaps I was making a little bit too much lumber there. Okay, so maybe I'll let 15 minutes go by. I know some of these stats I don't trust because, like I'll show you, some of them are wrong. So like here, oak trees show 0, 0. Well, okay, I may not have it in inventory. I would agree with that. But how did I make all these oak barrels if I had no oak? So I know that stat's wrong. I'm making 60 oak barrels an hour, so I know there's oak coming in and out of there. So these should be 1-to-1 basically. Like I don't need more iron. You can't make more oak barrels than you have iron, right? And likewise, every oak barrel goes into a yeah, every oak barrel goes into a wine. So the number of bottles, boy, maybe it's the drug still. The number of bottles that you have, the wine bottles and the oak barrels, maybe, well, you see, they need to be about the same, right? And then you can only make as many Cabernet Sauvignons as that. So I have here this kind of round top bottle, square, I don't know, it's kind of, that flatter bottle is 58 per hour. And then if I find my wine bottle, which is the skinnier one here, it's 40 per hour, which seems like that's higher than what I showed you before. Of course, I could build another winery, but you see, most of my wineries right now are just waiting on grapes. So therefore, I don't think another winery is going to help unless I had an abundance of grapes. There's always things you can tune. Check a look at all the wineries real quick. See, that one's waiting on 5 grapes right there. So why would I have another winery waiting on 5 grapes? That one's waiting on 5 grapes. So I'm getting 250 grapes per hour. Divide that by 5, because you have 5 grapes per bottle of wine. So 250 divided by 5 is 50 per hour. So that means and look at my skinny bottles down here. It's close to 50 per hour. It's going up actually. So yeah, I'm getting about 50 wine bottles per hour. Water barrels, just show you everything. Limestone, that's this, not limestone, that's the sandstone, or whatever it's called. Silica. The white's the limestone, the blue's the chromium. They need to be pretty much balanced as well. Anyway, that's it. So that was my game for this week. Again, not a very good competition-wise, but I finally kind of got it tuned. But I don't follow what everybody else's numbers are. I don't know how many. Let me know in the comments how many wine bottles you were able to create per hour. Did you beat my number here of about 50? It still seems going up right now, which is kind of cool. I could have swore I saw it at 70 or 80 one day. But can you get 50 wine bottles per hour? Or are you one of those people that know how to do 100? Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.